We've got some trends coming in, so I want Professor Surjeet Bhalla to just walk with me to the Insta trackpad as we look most crucially at Madhya Pradesh, where we've got trends for about 20 seats. Let me take you through those figures for Madhya Pradesh first. We look at the overall picture because I think that's pretty much all that we can currently look at. And Professor Bhalla, the BJP currently leading in 13 seats, the Congress leading in 8, that's a gain of 4. What do you make of the initial numbers, and also pull out the areas of Madhya Pradesh where these trends are coming from?
Again, the caveat has to be that this is very early. There are only 21 seats so far. And, you know, what we should have also is these are the leads, but where are they, if you will, are they gaining or not? Did they already win this seat before or not? But given this, it's 2-1.
Yeah, we've also got some figures coming in for Chhattisgarh. Let's put those figures out on the screen for our viewers as well. The tally for Chhattisgarh, which again shows the BJP in a very strong position to begin with, because the BJP is leading on 9, the Congress on 3, but they're holding on to the seats that they have at present.
Yeah, you know, again, these are very early, but if you will, Chhattisgarh, as we had discussed several times before, is a real test case of opinion polls and, if you will, economic performance. In the opinion polls have, and the exit polls have Chhattisgarh a very, very close race. Whereas, if you will, the economic performance of Raman Singh has been quite good.
Okay, we'll come back in just a moment. Sudhanshu Mittal from the BJP is also joining us, does a lot of polling for the BJP. I would have thought that the initial results, initial trends will start coming in from Delhi. We haven't seen much from Delhi so far. It's actually Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh where the initial trends are coming from. What do you make of what we're seeing so far, Sudhanshu? You got a big smile here, Chris. You're very happy. Where are the laddus?
I should be happy, because all what is being told and what is being seen right now is what we believe is going to happen. We are winning all the 4 states is what we believe. I wouldn't like to be going overboard on that and saying this. 2 hours and down the line we'll know that. But it seems what is being anticipated is coming out to be true. And there are reasons. There are reasons because, you know, you must analyze these polls at 2 levels. One is the national level, one is the state level. State level, in Madhya Pradesh and in Chhattisgarh, we had very competent leadership. They are chief ministers who have delivered, actually. One is called the Chawal Baba, one is called the Mama, because they have a personal rapport with the people of the state, unlike some other chief ministers. On the contrary, when it comes to Rajasthan, we've had a late swing by Mr. Gehlot, because for 4.5 years he was in hibernation, and suddenly he woke up and thought last 6 months can do wonders, but it doesn't happen this way. There is consistency required. Delhi has had an overdose of the Congress government, and I guess the lethargy, the corruption.
No, but what is this overdose? The Congress government. So what explains the fact that there is a high level of frustration, Professor Bhalla, with the Sheila Dikshit government, but that level of frustration doesn't exist with Raman Singh and with Madhya Pradesh? Is that because of the central government?
Anti-incumbency of the centre combined with the anti-incumbency of the state. You see, it's these 2 things put together that we're going to be on the winning side.
But we still have to explain the following, that we can't have it both ways. That, listen, if it works over here, it was anti-incumbency of the centre. If it works there, if it's pro-incumbency for the state. Look, there are parallel forces. There's clearly, not clearly, one should be a bit careful, that anti-incumbency at the centre is a prominent feature this time.
Absolutely.
It wasn't, if you will, in 2009.
Absolutely.
There was pro-incumbency at the centre. So we can't really take anti-incumbency on its own merits as a phenomena anymore. It used to be the case old times. Now it is, I think, more and more, as the several chief ministers have emphasized, is performance that matters.
Absolutely.
Rather than, am I incumbent, am I not an incumbent? And therefore, I think, let's look at this, because what you're having is that, according to the exit polls, the 2 incumbent Congress states are losing, and the 2 incumbent BJP states are winning. So
absolutely.
I don't think incumbency is a factor that...
Okay, I want to now focus this discussion on what's at stake for the principal players. And we'll start with Rahul Gandhi, with Vir Sanghvi, because if the Congress were to be routed, would it at some level be a reflection of Rahul Gandhi's election management skills? He's picked the candidates, he's driven the strategy. Will he have to take a large part of the blame as well?
I don't think there's any doubt about that, and I imagine he will probably take the blame voluntarily. The problem with Rahul Gandhi is not just the electoral management. The problem with Rahul Gandhi is Rahul Gandhi. Nobody is quite sure who Rahul Gandhi is. Nobody's sure what Rahul Gandhi stands for. Does he subscribe to the kind of socialism, the left-wing economics his mother subscribes to? Is he more a Manmohan Singh kind of guy? Does he want to be associated with the successes and failures of this government? Is he presenting himself as an alternative? There are no clear answers to all of these questions.
But Tavleen Singh, with just months to go for the elections, these are questions that people really now need to know the answers to.
I disagree with you. I think that he's made it very clear during this election campaign what he does stand for. He stands for welfare politics, you know. He keeps saying that I'm with the poor.
He doesn't. He said in a meeting with a group of editors that he's very liberal in his economic views.
He's
that
not
he wants
liberal at all.
liberalization.
He says
he wants economic growth. He wants private investment. He said so in
he has always said, the BJP is the party of the rich, and we are the party of the poor and the tribal.
No, but that's the problem.
One second.
That's the problem. He says a different thing in private, because I was in that conversation. I heard so
not
himself.
in private. Let's
but
go by
then
the campaign.
Tavleen Singh says that you have to look at what he says in public, and that's more important.
Rahul, that's not true. Just one second. He had a rally for FDI. He had a rally in Delhi for FDI. He's publicly backed the nuclear deal. I think this is a perception. The last time I checked, giving food to the hungry people is not called socialism. It's called humanity.
No, 1 second.
So if he stands for humanity,
he gives the food, and the food reaches the poor.
Yes.
Which is why you're bringing in technology.
Which is why
you're bringing in technology, which Rahul Gandhi is pioneering.
We can have this discussion.
Just one.
No, please, I really want to say something here, because it's very important what you just said. There are two ways of looking at bringing prosperity to a country. Either you give them dole, free food, etc., or you spend on roads, hospitals, schools, drinking water.
Have you checked? If you have the youngest country in the nation malnourished, what is the economical loss to the country?
Whose
the food
fault
security
is
bill,
it?
the 30,000 crores by itself will bring in revenue, will bring in a 1% GDP growth, because you're going to have young Indians who are going to be healthy. You have a workforce which is healthy, and I think that is called being human. I think that's called taking India forward. I think that's creating
Let's do one by one. Yeah, if everybody speaks together, we have a fish market.
Let's do one by one.
If I can be allowed to moderate this discussion. Please, time out. Just 1 second, Siddharth, please listen to me, because we'll have a fish market.
Sure.
That happens on the other channels. We don't like it.
Yeah, really.
We want a conversation which makes sense, which our viewers can understand and benefit from.
You're right.
Surjeet Bhalla wants to respond to this.
So, I mean, he made several points that are sort of beyond the ballpark. Maybe with their Jupiter escape velocity, they have disappeared from my, if you will, imagination even. Look, he brought in about the food security bill and brought in the point that, listen, Rahul Gandhi is human, that the Congress party stands for humanity, as whereas the other people obviously are inhuman because we don't want to give food to the poor. The critical thing to remember about the PDS system, which is how the food is delivered to the poor by the Congress party, is that, listen, 50% of the food, and you guys, and I want to congratulate you, had a very good sting operation on this, 50% of the food, this is, 25 million metric tons.
This is rhetoric. If you would have read the food security bill, it talks about reforming the PDS system through smart technology.
Listen.
If only you would have taken the courtesy of reading it.
Let me finish, then you come in. Otherwise,
But you're making facts which are wrong. Of course, it'll escape your imagination because you're not speaking what is grounded.
Okay. I will say that I have spent 10 years on looking at the food security bill at least, but Mr. Poonawala has just looked at the bill, and I defer to you. I defer to you.
I have the floor.
Yes.
We are discussing food security bill, which is not what we were discussing.
We're discussing Rahul Gandhi.
We are discussing what does Rahul Gandhi stand for.
Yeah.
My perception is that he stands for not being in politics.
Exactly.
Look, there are two things which are required for politics: a dream in the eye and fire in the belly. All of you, I ask, swear, does anybody believe that he has fire in his belly?
I said that last night, actually, that he doesn't.
Good. And do you all believe that he has this dream in his eye? Look, I've been in politics for 30, 35 years now. The kind of passion with which We've been here.
He's a prince.
We've all had.
He's a prince.
We've all had alternate opportunities. You know, that as the physiology goes, opportunity cost is always there. We chose politics because we believed that that's where we will find an expression.
Okay, let me put that question.
Is this
just one second.
for Rahul?
I want to put that question to Javed Ansari. Tracks the Congress, tracks Rahul Gandhi very, very closely, and that, Javed, as you know fully well, will be a big problem for Rahul Gandhi and for the Congress party. There are several in the Congress already who are not sure whether he's the best man to lead them. They, in private conversations, are voicing their concerns about his leadership style. Now, those are real problems for Rahul Gandhi to deal with ahead of this big general election in terms of keeping his troops together and getting them to believe in the general, Javed.
Well, indeed it is, and there is no denying the fact that the Congress party and Mr. Rahul Gandhi in particular have a mountain to climb. But the problem with the Congress party, Rahul, you know it, and most people who know Congress party know it, is that they will say one thing in private, but in public they will continue to back the leader. For better or for worse, they've decided that at least till the next general elections, Rahul Gandhi will be the leader. If they are drubbed in the 2014 elections, which appears likely at this stage, then perhaps there might be some rethink. Perhaps some of them might muster up courage and begin talking about it. But I don't see between now and the 2014 general election some kind of a reward, or even for the Congress party to do a rethink. I don't think that's possible.
Arun Jaitley took a pot shot where he said after the assembly election results come out, Shiv Viswanathan, we'll see leaders in the Congress say that Priyanka Gandhi must be brought in as well. He's sort of preempting that and laying out a bait for the Congress. Now, people will mock Rahul Gandhi, his political lifestyle, the fact that he goes away for long periods, the fact that he doesn't seem to have hunger in the belly. Those are real issues for a man who's asking India to vote for him.
See, I think you've got to be fair to Rahul Gandhi. He's a hangover from the past. He's a set of mnemonics. I think what you have to understand to a certain extent is he is actually being a ventriloquist dummy. I would actually be more interested in Rahul Gandhi personally if he was not interested in politics. I think what we have to realize is the tragedy is that the Congress wants in politics a man who has no sense of politics. Rahul Gandhi is an enigma wrapped around vacuum.
Enigma wrapped around a vacuum. And this Vir Sanghvi is very dangerous for the country's biggest party and the man who hopes to lead this party. Enigma wrapped around vacuum. How bad and damning can it
because
get?
Because he has to make statements which he hasn't made.
Actually, I agree with nearly everything that's been said. I just want to give you two words: Sonia Gandhi. When Sonia Gandhi entered politics, she had no fire in the belly, she had no gleam in her eye. She was up against Vajpayee, she beat him. The second time when she went into election, she had no fire in her belly. She used to read speeches in a lifeless sort of way. She was up against Advani, who had fire in his belly, and God knows how much ambition in his eye. She beat him.
He's
so
dead
it's
right.
not. So it's not always that simple in Indian politics.
Yeah.
No. Let me just come in on that.
Explain.
Let me just come in on that. In '99, when Sonia Gandhi entered politics, and she had about a year to campaign, Congress registered the lowest ever seat share in their history, 116 seats. Second, 2004, clearly they were neck to neck with Vajpayee. I agree with you. And I think that had a lot to do with what happened in Andhra Pradesh.
Exactly.
One state, YSR, one second, YSR won it for the Congress. The Congress knows it. Now let's come to 2009. It's a very open question whether Sonia Gandhi led them into a victory or whether it was Manmohan Singh that led them to victory.
Does Manmohan Singh have fire in his belly or a gleam in his eye?
All I'm saying is economic
He has
performance.
a dream.
We had the best.
He has a dream.
We had
But
the
he should
best.
wake up. No, he's just been dreaming
We had
for 5 years.
let me just finish, then you guys can come. We had the best growth rate ever. So therefore, to attribute 2009 to Sonia Gandhi is completely incorrect. And you conveniently forgot 1999, 116 seats. This was when Kesri was put out. And they said, listen, we will win. And 273 seats, remember, that was a bit before the 99 election. Yeah.